Yo, what is going on, guys? We are back today for a reoccurring series on the channel, which is a top ranking video for each individual class. Now, typically I make these videos when I'm going away for a while, for usually about a week, and this year I am going camping for about a week. It's going to land upon the first week of Battlegrounds this season, but then once I get back, then I can start grinding. So yeah, you can just expect these videos to be uploaded while I am gone. We're going to be starting with the Mutant class today. I feel like Mutant was very cut and dry the way I was looking at it, so I think it was just the easiest starting class for me to get into. So just some quick disclaimers before we get to anything. This, of course, is 100% my opinion, Lagacy's opinion on these rankings. It's totally cool to disagree. Just try not to be too much of a jerk in the comment section. That's all I ask. And yeah, basically the format of these videos is going to be top 5 in each class, but that's going to be primarily, we're going to be looking at 7 stars, but then at the end, once we've already done the rankings, I'll jump to the 6 star of that specific class and rank like the top 3 champs. So that's kind of the format I'm going to be aiming for. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into the Mutant class. All right. Coming in at the number 5 spots in the Mutant class, we actually have a tie between two older champions that both very recently have gotten buffed and have become much better. So the first one is Deadpool X-Force. So, Deadpool X-Force, we got him around the banquet. He was one of the champions that got buffed for that event. And dude, it's so great to finally have a good Deadpool. Like it has literally been 10 years without a good Deadpool. There was always Red Deadpool who could regen but did nothing else. And then we had, Gold Pool, Platinum Pool. They gave us Deadpool X-Force. They tried to buff him at one point. The buff flopped. He still sucked. And then they decided to buff him again. Which at first, I was a little like, really? Like, why can't you buff the red Deadpool? But I'm just happy to have a good Deadpool finally, man. What makes this guy so freaking good and what puts him at the number 5 spot is because he brought in a brand new mechanic into the game, Chablis de Bouffe. Now, this is so stupid and silly, but it's so perfect for Deadpool. Like this wouldn't make sense on 99% of champs in the game, but for that 1%, that's Deadpool and like Gwenpool, those types of champs, this totally works on them. Oh no. AC. Sorry guys, 1 second. Alright guys, apologies about that. Ace just got sick right by my desk. It's like the second time today. I don't know what's going on with him. Hope he's alright. But yeah, I took care of him. He's just laying on my bed now. Hopefully he's feeling better. But alright, I don't know exactly where I was. I think we're talking about the Chablis de Bouffe and how, it wouldn't really work on any other champion game, but like it's so perfect for Deadpool. And, seeing this on Deadpool X-Force just gives me hope that we'll hopefully one day see it on the other Deadpool champions, especially Red Deadpool. I really want there to be a stupidly overpowered red suit Deadpool. I just want that. So what the Chablis de Bouffe does, is they're bleeds, essentially, but no one in the entirety of the game is immune to them. Even if you're immune to bleed, you're not immune to this. Hey, I resent that. Chablis de Bouffes are super cool and are going to catch on in a big way. Also, I did not say 70%. Did you round my number? Oh, that's funny. It's supposed to be 69%. Yeah, and you basically, if you're fighting like a bleed immune, you go build to the special 2, you apply a daunted passive, and then you're going to be triggering the Chablis de Bouffes. And it's going to go crazy. If you don't have the daunted up, you're just going to get the Duodenium bleeds. But, it's not as cool as the Chablis de Bouffes. And yeah, all I have to do is be suffering from a daunted. So that makes Deadpool, really powerful. If he didn't have the Chablis de Bouffe, like, he would not even be close to making the top 5 list. But because he has that, it's what puts him up here, man. And it makes him very, very useful. Now, the champion that he is tied with, another mutant, is Cyclops. So Cyclops also got a buff more recently. Cyclops buff was voted for by the community I believe the first ever time through an Instagram poll, and it was Cyclops and Doctor Strange at the end, and Cyclops won. I think a big reason for him winning was, X-Men 97 had just come out right around that time. So the deck was stacked against Doctor Strange, and Cyclops ended up winning. And, I'm glad. I mean, the Mystic class really could have used a crazy good Doctor Strange, but I really do like the way Cyclops turned out, and I also am a big fan of X-Men 97. So like I'm not mad at it. I voted Doctor Strange, but I'm still very happy with the result of Cyclops. I think he's a phenomenal addition to the game with his buff. They redid his design a little bit. He still looks very similar to how he used to look, but he does definitely look cleaner and cooler now. Especially because like when you see the old Cyclops, like you just think of the old poopy Cyclops, So I think it's a good thing that they adjusted his model a bit, but they didn't go too crazy. They kept him still thematic with the X-Men 97. And I would say Cyclops was like the most champion accurate buff they've ever done. And just what I mean by that is, before the buff, Cyclops sucked. He was terrible. It was not fun to play him at all. Now, after the buff, it's so much fun, and it feels how Cyclops should. You're just spamming beam attacks once you build him up by just dropping multiple specials back to back to back. Like, it's perfect. It's exactly what Cyclops should be. Just spamming those beam attacks, And it takes some skill to kind of build them up. And if you need a lot of damage, you can really build up, drop the special 3, and then just go nuts. And of course, Cyclops, he absolutely works with the mutant power back boosts. So, you can throw on some of these with him, and it's just crazy. You're just throwing like an infinite amount of specials. You're just doing millions of damage. It's freaking awesome. It's really awesome. And my other favorite, so that's what gets Cyclops here, the damage. He has so much damage, but he also has some really nice utility in this True Focus buff, allowing him to ignore the effects of evade and miss. That's just so powerful to pretty much always have this. That's amazing. And if it falls off, just throw a special and it's back. So yeah, it's pretty great. It retriggers when Cyclops activates special attacks. So yeah, it's amazing. So that is the number 5 spot, Cyclops and Deadpool X-Force. All right, moving on up to the number 4 spot, we had a fantastic mutant addition in Dazzler. So Dazzler dropped last year, and she was in a Platinum Track Pass. Definitely one of the best Platinum Track Passes champions available. For like 25 US or like 35 Canadian dollars to secure a 7-star copy of Dazzler. It was a pretty good deal. Dazzler, fantastic champion. The only thing is that she really wants to be awakened. A great way to think about Dazzler is like a new spin on Namor. That's pretty much the perfect way to think about Dazzler, a modern day Namor. If you're familiar with Namor in the contest. But essentially, what makes her, it's a trade-off. But the way it works, with Namor, you got to get him up to Sig 200 to fully use him anywhere and everywhere, and to be fully immune to damage while you're attacking. And that's all damage. So it's a big investment, but it's all damage. You're reflecting while you're attacking, so that's really good. Dazzler, it's way less investment. Just one. You just got to get her awakened. Sig level 1, and you're good to go. But it's not nearly as all-encompassing as Namor is. It's only physical damage. So, that's not direct damage. That's not energy damage. There's a lot of other types of damage that she is going to be very susceptible to. But nothing from physical damage. And that's good. They're physical damage, to give you some examples, Atuma's Thorns, Korg's Thorns, any type of physical-based thorns. I think there is an energy thorn, so that one wouldn't work. Rupture. So, for example, if you have a Rupture debuff or passive effect on you, but you start attacking the opponent during her hits, she'll take no damage, and she will be reflecting that. So, the more Sig you give her, the more she's going to reflect. That's not really needed for higher Sig. She does so much damage, once you build her up and drop a fat special 2, that you don't need to be reflecting the damage. It's not really a big deal. But what is a big deal is this Pursuit passive here. So this is going to trigger every time Dazzler performs a dazzling dash, and it lasts based on how many SIGs she has. So at SIG 100, it's 6 seconds, and this is very good if you want to be countering Bullseye with Dazzler. If you want to be countering Bullseye, she needs to be awakened, and she needs to be like at least SIG 40 to have like a decent chance against Bullseye. But the higher the SIG, the better for countering Bullseye, of course. But yeah, man, that's Dazzler. She is an exceptional champion. You know, you just throw a special, 1 or 2 special ones, then drop the special 2, and it just does so much damage. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to just watch the opponent get melted. You know, she does have a little bit of skill asks with tapping the rhythm. It's like a rhythm game on the special 1 and 2. It's so easy, though. You know, it's not difficult at all. I remember, like, the first time I ever tried it myself, testing her out, I nailed it the first time. It's not to say I nailed it every time after that, but on my first time I got it. Like, it's really not difficult to do, so it's very simple. And again, similar to Cyclops, you know, if you need a really big damage rotation, just build to the special 3, and then you can normally get 100 tempo, but with special 3 you get 150, and then even more damage. Just so much damage possible with Dazzler. It's great. Some great utility, some great damage, a wonderful addition to the Mutant class, dude. Really, really great. But that's her number 4 spot. Dazzler would have been higher on the list, but she's been outshadowed by a brand new Mutant champion who kind of does a lot of what she does and other stuff. And that is Jean Grey, coming in at the number 3 spot, the 3rd best mutant in Marvel Contest of Champions. And that's Jean Grey, dude. Jean Grey is incredible. She is quickly becoming one of my favorite champs in the whole game to play. She looks so good, man. Like, we've had Phoenix, you know, in game, who is Jean Grey technically for the longest time, and she's always been, you know, such a disappointment. And you know, Jean Grey herself has been in game. She looked very different than this. She had like the mask thing on, like it was I think a much older comic design. And so, you know, that Jean Grey had been in game as like an NPC for a long time. Now to finally get her as a mutant, and for her to be as powerful as she is, like, and the timing too with the buff to Phoenix and the introduction of Dark Phoenix, like, it's just so perfect. And I think out of the 3 champs, Jean Grey, Dark Phoenix, and the Phoenix buff, I think they nailed Jean Grey the most. Not to say they didn't do a good job with the other 2, because they did do a pretty good job with the other 2, but I think Jean Grey was just chef's kiss. Like, just so perfect, man. So what makes Jean Grey so good? Alright? First things first, with the awakened ability, just being SIG level 1, again, similar to Dazzler, you're just needing SIG 1 to get like a lot of bonus, a lot of benefit. The first bullet point here, while Jean Grey's force field is active, using the parry mastery instead inflicts a 1.5 second stun passive. Skill champions cannot reduce the ability actually of this stun. So as long as you have the force field up, essentially, SIG 1, Jean Grey turns into White Magneto guidance pre-fight on every fight. She just has passive stunts. Like, that alone is such a great ability. So just having her awakened for that is a big deal. And then the more that you SIG her up, your Neuroshock passives are going to last longer. I'm pretty sure when I had her at SIG 20, this was only like 2 seconds. So now at SIG 60, it's 3.5, a little over 3.5. That's just going to make it easier to do your loops, so your stuff's not falling off, essentially. And then there's a second bullet point here. Increased control over her mutation allows Jean to retain 1 uncanny passive after her special 1, which is also really useful and helps to speed her up in a place like Battlegrounds. So that's really nice. You know, she has full immunity to reverse controls, which is really nice. All of her attacks are energy, deal energy damage. You know, she has Neuroshock, which technically now there is one champ in the game that is immune to Neuroshock, and that is the Maker. But other than him, no one else in the game is immune to that Neuroshock. And then what I really love about Jean is her force field. So, you know, I feel like Jean Grey is kind of also like a modern day Invisible Woman, sort of. You know, Invisible Woman has her force field, and she's pretty bad, dude. Let's be real here. Invisible Woman sucks. But Jean Grey also has a force field, and her force field is amazing because not only does it soak in incoming damage, you know, which is great, which is what you want, But while the force field is active, Jean takes no damage from physical Thorn's effects, and the opponent's critical damage rating is reduced. So again, kind of, it's not quite as good as Dazzler, but it's still really nice. Still really nice. Like, I feel like Dazzler is better than Jean at dealing with physical damage. But that's not to say Jean can't do it. And yeah, what really puts Jean above Dazzler for me is Jean's a great defender. You know, she is a great defender. She's not like, but she's also very feasible to counter, and I also think a very fair defender. Jean Grey is like the perfect type of champion that I like. Very powerful attacker, very good defender, but it's not like a stupid BS defender that you need to bring in like one of 3 champs or you're just screwed against. You know, if you bring in one of 3 champs against Jean, you can have a really good time. But if you bring in pretty much anyone, you can absolutely still take her down. And it just becomes a skill ass dealing with the reverse controls, which I really, really like. That's a perfectly designed defensive-based champion, in my opinion. I think they just nailed Jean, man. She's so perfect. I was honestly debating putting her at the number 2 spot, but I think it might be a tad premature. I might just have, might be in a honeymoon phase with Jean after rank 4ing her and pulling her a few more times lately. Just really liking her. But I for sure think she's better than Dazzler, because Dazzler, I mean, it's not to say Dazzler's terrible on defense, but she's not the greatest defender out there. She's decent, but I would say Jean is the far superior defender, especially in an area like Battlegrounds. So yeah, man, I really like Jean. I like her playstyle. I like that, you know, you can use the Uncanny to get your bars of power quicker. I find that really interesting. And, you know, you can always go for the special 3 to add strength to the force field or reactivate it if it's disabled. And then also inflict a personal neuroshock passive for every 20% of the force field remaining strength. So, man, Jean, I just think she's so wonderful. Such an incredible addition to the game. I think definitely one of the best champs we've gotten all year in 2025. And 2025 has been filled with bangers. So that is Jean Grey coming in at the number 3 spot. Alright, guys, there's only 2 spots left. Coming in at the number 2 spot. I'm sure a lot of you guys already saw this coming and guessed it. And that's Mr. Sinister. So, Mr. Sinister, man, the 3rd mutant on this list to have been buffed recently. The mutant class, the buffs in the mutant class have been going crazy, and there's always been good buffs, like Magneto buffs too were so crazy, man. Like, the mutant class has so much untapped potential, so many of these cool mutants, man. They just need a little bit of TLC, and Sinister got that last year, man. They also made him, you know, one of the Saga Chase champions, which was really, really cool. And, you know, I even able to get him on my free-to-play account like Spiker. Took him up on that account. Mr. Sinister, man, he's just one of the best buffs ever. I think maybe I should make a top 10 all-time buffs in Marvel Contest of Champions. But yeah, if I made that video, I think Sinister would 100% be making the top 10 list. Dude, he was so bad before, but like he still had like some building blocks of potential. You know, that building blocks of potential was he always, you know, healed critical hits even through the block. And that was always useful. For example, like against Corvus Glaive, you know, back in the day, that was useful. It was like one champion, but it was useful. But nowadays, you know, it was more so 2024 last year, we got Bullseye. Bullseye guaranteed crits, one of the craziest defenders in the game. And then they buff Mr. Sinister and just make him like the hardest counter, the most simplest, best counter to Bullseye, like in the game. Like one of the craziest meta defenders in the game. Boom, an older champion got buffed and became a hard counter. Like, I love that origin story for Mr. Sinister, dude. I love it. Like, it's just great, dude. It's really great. You know, Mr. Sinister, his awakened ability, it used to be like you'd have to like win fights against the class types to like build the bonuses. I'm pretty sure that's how it used to be, and that was just terrible. You know, that made him like a questing champion. Like, if you built him up 5+ fights in a quest, he was like decent, you know. But now it's just you randomly get some of these effects, which is awesome, dude. And, he still has the ability to build them up as a questing champion. But I just love that the fact that he starts with 3 of these randomly. In Battlegrounds, that's so useful, and especially on defense, for example. If he rolls, you get really lucky, and he rolls 3 of these Mystic ones. Boom! All of a sudden, his combat power rate's increased by over 30%. This is only Sig 80. If that's Sig 200, I think that if he got 3 of these, I think it'd be 60%. Like, that's ridiculous. It's just he's so Sinister. He's a great defender now. If he throws 2 special ones in rapid succession, he's gonna throw some degen on you. You try to come at him with any other damage over time effects, and he throws that special one, he's going to throw him back on you. Like, for example, Future Ant-Man. Future Ant-Man can totally do Sinister, but you have to be careful, because if you have a disintegration on him and he throws a special one, boom, that's on you now, and that's degen. So, Mr. Sinister, he has immunity to taunt and reverse controls, which is great. This is something that he always had. His telekinetic powers allows him to block unblockable special attacks. This was one of the first champions in the game that had this type of ability to, really deal with unblockable attacks. So I always like Sinister for that, and I think it's still a great ability. It doesn't work against tech champs, though. But like the play style with Mr. Sinister, it's so weird too, which is another reason why I like him so much. I like unique, odd play styles, like Spot, for example. Spot's one of my favorite champions in the game because his play style is so unique. There's no champ in the game that plays like Spot does. Same is true for Sinister. There's no champ in the game that plays like Sinister does. Being able to pause debuffs with your heavy charge, like, that is such a weird and cool thing. And after his buff, it's so powerful. You just rinse and repeat. Hold heavy, charge heavy, knock them down, special one. Throw on 10 degen, parry, heavy, pause the damage, watch them melt. It's great. Now, Mr. Sinister's also immune to bleed. So he just heals from that. So, like, you get so much healing with him, so much damage, so much utility. It's freaking awesome, dude. Mr. Sinister is a god. He's so good. And he continues to be good against the new skill champs. Yelena Belova, the newest skill defender. Mr. Sinister's a phenomenal counter. Phenomenal counter. Even when the fight goes really bad, she gets into her elimination mode. Mr. Sinister can deal with it. He can take the reversals like a champ and just heal, bro. He's such a tank. He's so awesome. That's why Mr. Sinister's coming in at that number 2 spot. All right, before we get to the number 1, we have a couple of honorable mentions that I want to talk about first. So, Domino is definitely an honorable mention. Domino has been in the top 5 mutant champs for so long. Now she's finally fallen out. I think part of the reason is there's just a lot of newer tech champs that can counter her. So I feel like her use on defense has fallen off a fair bit. And that was one of the biggest reasons why she was always up on my list. She still can be a good defender. Of course, if your opponent doesn't get a good counter, she can go crazy. But, yeah, I just feel like she's fallen off. And she can be crazy on attack if you get lucky and things line up. But that's a whole bunch of RNG. Dust, another honorable mention, dude. Dust is great. Really great all-around champ. Good dual threats. Incredible immunities with bleed, poison, and shock. Triple immunities in the mutant class. It's pretty baller. It's very baller. It's pretty rare to have triple immunities in the mutant class. Like, there's Iceman. Is that it? I know Onslaught. Well, Onslaught still gets them applied to him, so it's not technically immunity. But yeah. So Dust is pretty great. And then one other honorable mention. Gentle, he's kind of cool, kind of new. Still kind of, I don't think he's top 5 though. And I don't think NTW's top 5 either. But another good champion. Another good bullseye counter who also kind of came out around the time Mr. Sinister got buffed. And people, like, it was funny because, like, when she came out, we're like, oh, the new bullseye counter, the hard bullseye counter. But then the older champion that ended up getting buffed, in my opinion, is the better bullseye counter than the new champion made to counter him. Which is kind of weird. But, yeah, I would rather it be that way, because shout out to Sinister. All right, those are our honorable mentions. Let's get to the number 1. I'm sure you guys already know. It's Iceman, of course. Iceman, the Omega level mutant. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, guys, it's Onslaught. The greatest mutant champ in the game by so much. Arguable number 1 best champ in the game overall, regardless of class. Just, man, Onslaught, he's the king. Should I keep physical? I don't know. But man, Onslaught's just so good. He's one of the #1 prestige champs in the whole game. You know, he's in my profile champ for a reason. That prestige is crazy. Like we kind of already said, he does have triple immunities, triple resistances, I would say, instead of immunities. Although, and is sometimes better. So, you know, bleed, incinerate, and shock, and it's reduced by 150%. You know, I would much rather it be this way than Onslaught just straight up being immune to bleed, incinerate, and shock. And I'll give you some prime examples. So anytime bleed is on Onslaught, you know, it's just free healing. So that's free willpower. I have the Mr. Sinister relic on him, so every time I use my relic, I get a bleed debuff, free regen. It's nice. Incinerate and shock. These, when those are applied to Onslaught, he just starts passively applying Neuroshock to the opponent, which is great. You know, that saves so much of your ramp. You don't even need to throw a special one. You can just go straight to special 2, lock the degen in. What also makes that so useful, Hazard Shift. Hazard Shift, Incinerate, and Shock is a literal node on the war map. Like, Onslaught is just tailor-made for that kind of stuff. It's so good for him. Free ramp. He just absolutely destroys the skill class. He's so good against the skill class. You know, he can block unblockable special attacks from the skill class. With the Awakened ability, also with the Awakened ability, increased Daunted Potency, and also free non-damaging debuff, a personal non-damaging passive on the opponent. Also, special attacks gains block penetration, if that's ever getting blocked. If a personal debuff or stun from the Parrymaster is purified or prevented due to immunity, re-inflicted debuff as a passive. This is so useful. It's not quite as good as, you know, Jean Grey's just always having applying a passive stun, but it still comes in handy so often. It's so great against like Bullseye. You know, Bullseye, you parry him with that Killer Instinct up, you go to attack him, he's going to purify the stun and evade. But Onslaught, he's going to apply a passive stun on him. Like, psych. So that's great, man. We all know Onslaught. There's no really need to talk about him too much. You know, you throw the special 1, you build up the Neuroshock, then you throw the special 2, you build up the degen, and then you heavy attack to pause all your effects. So simple, so powerful. He's just, man, he's so crazy. He looks like a big beetle from the back. But man, Onslaught, I don't see a mutant champion ever really replacing him or taking this top spot from him. Like, we would need to see something absolutely ridiculous to see someone topple the god that is Onslaught. I don't see that happening anytime soon. If that does happen, bro, I wonder who it would even be. What mutant champion would have the potential to do that? Like, the only mutant champion I could really think of would be like Apocalypse, but we already have him in game, and compared to Onslaught, meh. So, yeah. All right, guys, that is the top 5 best mutant champions currently in 2025 in Marvel Contest of Champions for the 7 stars. Now let's quickly shout out some 6 stars. I think there's only 3 6 stars to even really talk about. And #1, well, you could put these 3 in any order. The way I would put them is Archangel #1, probably Kitty #2, and Magneto #3, or Magneto #2 and Kitty #3, whatever. But yeah, these 3 are not 7 stars for a good reason. And it's actually funny, I was looking through all the classes now. There's really not that many champs restricted as 6 stars still. Kabam has been releasing so many of them as 7 stars over the last like year and a half. So we're only missing Kitty, Archangel, and Magneto for like the really, really powerful mutants. But yeah, guys, that is the mutant class in its entirety ranked. That is video 1 of this 6-part series where we rank the top 5 champs in every single class. Thank you guys so much for watching. I would love if you guys dropped me your top 5 mutants in the comment section down below. Do you agree? Are our top 5 lists the same? Maybe the order's different. I'd love to hear about it. Let's just have some healthy, good discussions in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching. All on support, you guys are the best. I'm currently away on my camping trip, but once I am back on the grind, more streams, lots of Battleground streams. Alright guys, hope you all have a great, wonderful day. Peace.